Hi, welcome to Mic'd Up with ASPSU. I'm your host, Carol Skiba. I'm the campus coordinator here.
I'm the other host, Tucker Luft. I'm the chief of staff here at ASPSU. And today we're talking to student leaders. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hello, everyone. My name is Yousif Ibrahim, and I am the president of the Muslim Student Association.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aileen Parra, and I am a student programming and event lead for La Casa Latina.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a question for both of you. How do you feel like your group or center presence on campus represents students at Portland State University?
Well, for me personally, this is my second year in the same position that I am now. I came in as a freshman. The first place I actually got to learn on campus was La Casa Latina. I was a part of the Summer Scholars Program, so I got to know a little bit of campus beforehand, but the first place I really toured was that student center. So I feel like programming for me really just goes to show the representation on campus. I know Portland State's aiming towards becoming an HSI here in the near future, but as a student programmer, I never really saw that representation, and up until recently still haven't really seen it. So what we try to do as student programmers is really show that representation on campus and be not only a source of light in the darkness of students in the term, but just try and also hold space, the wicked tour, but hold a space for people to not only feel involved, but also feel a sense of belonging, if that makes any sense.
So I feel like there's three things that people connect with: money, religion, and anime. And for me, with the religion aspect, there is a huge Muslim population on campus, and it only makes sense that we have a group that connects all these Muslims, mainly because at times like this, we can feel marginalized in a lot of different places, and collaborating with each other in different events, hosting and representing our culture and our faith, I feel it's necessary. And we can do that through various events, through Ramadan events, through Eid events, any events that will show Muslims on campus that we are also here for you guys. And there is, just as you said, since I was a freshman, I was involved with the Muslim Student Association, and they're the reason why I was able to connect to so many different people. And they're the ones who gave me a voice, and they're the ones who made me confident enough to speak to others, because all these different events that they hosted allowed me to network and socialize with so many different people who were just like me. And I feel that this is a hot take, but I feel that in order to network with others, first you need to learn how to network with people who are just like you. So if you can't connect to those who are similar to you, it'll be very difficult to connect to those who are different than you. And that's not controversial or nothing. I don't think it's controversial or nothing. But I feel people wouldn't agree with that, but that's my opinion on things.
I don't have that hot of a take, actually. But another thing, since you said the top three things that are important, another big reason why organizations and centers like ours are widely important, not just here, but in universities, but specifically in a very city-centered university like ours, is we don't really have, and I've heard this from students that have nothing to do with centers like ours, we don't really have campus life. We don't have a strong student presence. We know that. As much as we try and support it, as much as our events we do get an audience, right? It could be stronger than years prior. We know that it's weak here because we don't have that on-campus community. And we can try and fix it year after year, but we understand that there are limitations to that. People go home right after class. People have jobs right after class. We are in a very urban setting. People have other things to do than go to our events and go to things like that. That could be a hot take, I don't know. But I think that by getting involved ourselves, not only are we contradicting those same situations, but we're also creating relationships with people that are in those same situations and dragging them in with us, as much as that makes sense. Because I know for me, I've made a lot of friends here who are off campus. I made a lot of friends here who were off campus my freshman year, haven't seen them since. But I had still at the same time made a lot of friends that are off campus, and I've forced them to show up every week. I've forced them to show up to events that they didn't want to go to, and they've made friends through those same opportunities for themselves. So I know as like a student leader, I don't even know if I'd consider myself a leader, but it's a different situation. As a student leader, I understand that I'm still responsible for things like that. That's my hot take.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think ASPSU really understands the fact that Portland State is maybe not so much of a social campus, and it's really hard to connect with students and engage with students. But yeah, thank you for sharing that and drawing some attention there. What are some other barriers you feel like you have faced when creating change?
A barrier I face making change. I think that's a loaded question, and I don't have a loaded answer for that because I didn't have too many barriers when it came to change through, at least specifically through the Muslim Student Association. Through other things, that was a little different, like with ASPSU. But with the Muslim Student Association, it's very cut and clear for us when we want to do things. I guess the change in question would be how we represent ourselves, because it's not like we're going to change policies through the MSA on Portland State's campus. But when it came to events and whatnot, what we had to change was the number of people who knew about us. Yeah. And so in order to make that happen, we had to network to so many different people. We had to build a strong board. We had to make sure the board understood their positions and their roles. We had to advertise. We had to make fun events. The thing about events, you were talking about this with people who come to events, they don't really show up. We really have to appeal to college students. You gotta make it attractive, and that's difficult, especially in this day and age, because people have a low attention span, mainly because like TikTok and all these different social media avenues. Like people just don't care. They just want to go home and scroll. And like, hey, I'm for the TikTok ban. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back to change. Why did I bring that up? Right. Sorry. Yeah, it's more difficult to get students to come to our events because they don't care. And so we have to do all these different things, these psychological things and moves and avenues just to get them to pull up. For example, if we want to do an event where we want people to paint, we also say, hey, we're also making Red Bulls, bringing Red Bulls for you guys. Wait, we're also crafting necklaces. Wait, we're also doing this. And that. You have to incorporate so many different things. And that's what we have to change. Because events can't just be, for example, with Muslims, it's a religious organization. So we want to do lectures for people, right? To talk about our faith. People aren't going to come to that, especially not college students. They're not going to come to faith-based discussions. It's important. It's great. I want to be there. But realistically, they're just not going to go. If they will go to a faith-based discussion, it's at the mosque or something. Pull up to Quran night, January 24th. It's going to be Friday, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the ballroom. We're going to have different Quran reciters. They have really beautiful voices. It's basically like a Quran concert, if anything. But I don't want to allude a concert to the Quran. So if you know, you know. But just pull up. There's a lot of good food. College students, food. That's another thing.
They always want food.
Y'all always want some food.
We don't have food money.
Exactly.
And like they always.
No, but some of the resource centers, like Manasa, they got some good money. And so that's what we did too. We collaborated with Manasa, okay. And we're getting some good money from them for food.
I swear, and we got the same budget, so what's going on?
That's all. Oh. But yeah, basically we had to change the style of our events, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We didn't have to change too much besides that.
Okay, I had a point, and then I got another one, and then I lost it. For me, I feel like the biggest thing I've noticed, barrier-wise, isn't directly tied to us, but is technically indirectly tied to us, which is budget control. We work alongside a lot of the SALP groups. That's a dang sure thing. And with the new OBC regulations, it has made it dramatically harder for them to even just carry out events the way that they used to. I don't feel like that's fair, obviously. Neither do they. But as one of the biggest collaborators for a lot of these SALP groups, it can be very difficult for us to try and support them in the way that we used to, which I feel like we do depend on them a lot. I know La Casa Latina is a part of the LSLC, which isn't a very widely known organization on campus since it's technically not PSU affiliated. But the LSLC is a Latino Student Leadership Coalition. It's all of the Latino groups on campus, kind of conjoined into a nice little bubble. And we do talk about what we go through on campus and the things that we deal with. And we do try and support them, whether it be, collaborating with them and making sure their events go smoothly or just having a space for them. But just the way that the OBC situation has gone down, it's really just opened a lot of our eyes to seeing that a lot of these regulations are put in place in order to make it harder, in order to make them technically just spend less money. Because if they can't follow the most complicated maze of rules, then they can't spend that money to begin with, which in turn saves PSU more money at the end of the day. So that's my understanding of it. Maybe that's really not what it's there for. Maybe they just really need these most minuscule, complicated legislative little rules in order to function, but you function before them and you'll function without them. So why are they there? And that's something that we've noticed. Budget cuts were another big thing. We had no coordinator for a little bit, so that was a little difficult. So we couldn't apply for like grants and things, but we're okay now. Shout out Fabio, he's there. He's nice. It's like his second week, but he's really coming in to save the day, hopefully. But yeah, I feel like just inconsistencies within coordinators and things like that. It's I know we switch them out quite often within ourselves. It's my second year. I can't really speak on that too much, but I've already gone through one person, so I guess I can go through two. And yeah, I forgot what else I was gonna say. But same on what you were saying, it's hard just to get people to come out and try and make it actually like, retention's a big thing too. Not only getting people to show up, but getting people to stay. And it's like, I know we have our event tomorrow, and I was sitting there thinking, we gotta come up with I've done this event at least 3 times by myself. And I gotta sit there and I have to think of some sort of activity to get people not only just to show up, but to stay. Not only do we have to provide like something to do, we have to provide food because they won't show up unless we got food. And then we gotta provide an activity so that way they don't get bored. And like, why isn't the event itself good enough for people? I don't know, but would I have stayed if it wasn't? Maybe not. I can't, throw stones from a glass house or whatever the people say. It's like a white person saying, I don't know.
Great. Sounds like there's a lot of barriers, challenges that we need to overcome here.
Great, yeah.
I kind of want to speak on engagement a little bit, or ask you guys more about engagement. And I'm curious to know what like unique qualities you would say that your area can bring when it comes to engagement with the PSU students on and off of our campus. Yeah, or like what would set your area sort of uniquely apart when it comes to engagement?
So I think the special thing about having such a large Latino community on campus, and I think Portland is, even though we are technically still a minority, a very Latino-forward city. Portland State, I think, is one of the, don't quote me on this, one of the highest Latino-serving institutions in Oregon, but don't quote me on that. I think the good thing about it all is that I do know pretty much every like Mexican on campus, and not Mexican. There's other Latinos here, but not a lot. I think it is a very tight-knit community, and I think a lot of people who do decide to get involved stay very interconnected. Like I go into work, I go into the center, and like I know pretty much every face in there. And I know what organization they're in, I know who they're friends with, I know what their major is. And that's more than just me being attentive to my center. I think it's about engagement, and I think it is about like everybody just being so interconnected and actually caring about our community on campus. And we're just like showing up for ourselves and showing up and actually being involved in order to just provide ourselves a space. And whether that be because people didn't see that, prior to higher education or whatever it was. I know I grew up in a really brown town, so like I can't speak too much about feeling whitewashed. But I know some people that grew up in Portland do feel that way. But as far as like setting ourselves apart from other places on campus, I don't dive too far outside of my own bubble, but I have been trying to this year through collaborations, through just like networking and things like that. And I think just like growing as a student, it is like my second year. So I haven't really had the time to do that too much. But just like looking at ourselves and really reflecting on ourselves and seeing how we set ourselves apart, I think just trying to grow in a way that is effective to the population that we're trying to serve is all that really matters.
The things with the MSA is that it's not just we're appealing to college students here on campus, because we're in such a tight-knit urban community, there's so many Muslims outside of PSU as well. And we're like a focal point for all those Muslims, not just at PSU, but at Reed, Lewis, and Clark, the ones that live in Southeast, Southwest Portland. Any Muslim youth around, they always come to our events. So it's not just the students at PSU. And I feel that's really important, especially as a public university. It's great to just give space for the college students on campus, and we do provide that, but also exposing those students to broader areas of connection. And that is the general Portland community. There's a huge Muslim community in Portland. And being able to, I guess, serve as that focal point for those Muslims, it's really unique to us. And I don't know, it allows people to understand one another more. I've met so many more people just because of this. At this event that we have on January 24th, the Quran night, we're collaborating with a local mosque, Masjid al-Sabr. And they have a huge community, and they're going to be connecting to us. And who knows, maybe students who were on campus that didn't know about this mosque, now they know about them. The interconnectivity, that's really what we are focusing on. And that's something unique to us for sure.
I heard a lot about community engagement in your responses, and I think that's super awesome and a very admirable initiative to strive for, just to make sure that you're getting as many members involved from your community as possible. Speaking of community engagement, what events do you want to share with us that are coming up this term?
January 24th, we have our Quran night, 4 to 8 p.m., like I said. In the beautiful month of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. I'm sure we all know what Ramadan is. It's the month where the Quran was sent down. Just fun fact. It's the month where we fast and we, I guess, expose ourselves to even more worship than usual. We're gonna once a week, we will have something called an iftar night. And iftar itself literally means breaking your fast, or breakfast. We don't know what breakfast is. But that's us breaking our fast. And so we're going to have a lot of food. It's going to be a collaboration with Manasa and PAC, the Shout Out Culture Research Centers. Shout out Ahmed. Shout out Ahmed especially. I love that man to death. No, but we have an event coming up February 20th. It's our Ramadan kickoff. So Ramadan's March 1st. So 10 days before, we're doing this little kickoff where we are bringing sambusas. You know sambusa? Yeah. Samosas? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're bringing samosas. We're having an in-house Dutch Bros. So we're going to have a table, and we're going to have Red Bulls and syrups. And my event coordinators, they're going to be making the Red Bulls for people. So that's pretty fire. You should have them in a uniform. I'll be there. Yeah, we're bringing a uniform for them too, the aprons and stuff. It's gonna be legit.
Dutch Bros need to unionize. They don't pay their workers enough.
Yeah. February 20th is our Ramadan kickoff. We're gonna be making dua books. We're gonna be having an in-house Dutch Bros. We're gonna have our board. We're gonna be making Dutch Bros for you guys, the Rebels. After that, throughout March, throughout Ramadan, every Thursday we have our iftars. Our iftars at 6 p.m. in Manasa. We're gonna have really good food. Series Indian cuisine. The absolute best restaurant. Wallahi, I swear to God, it's the best restaurant in Portland. Series Indian cuisine. I went there last week alone, left my phone in the car. I just indulged, and that's it. I swear to God, it was the best thing ever. You had to focus in. Chicken tikka masala and garlic naan. I had nothing, just me and my food. And of course, January 24th, Quran night.
Yeah, for La Casa Latina, we have a few events in February. We have both for collaborations. We're hoping we got our signature event, Joteria Loteria, coming up. Stay tuned. We have a little bit of a different timeline this term. Oh. It's a queer game night in the broadest of senses. We play Loteria. Sometimes we get food. Sometimes it's just pan dulce and some snacks. Wait, say it again in the mic.
PDXMSA.
Okay, there. That's their Instagram. I think ours is PSU_La Casa. And then for the end of February, so it's just going to be in February, we have a potential Black History Month collab with PAC. Shout out. Hopefully everything goes good with our budget. We don't got a lot, but we are hoping for the best. And then slight promo for spring. We got a whole week of events. Si se puede week. Look out for that, please.
I'm really curious about this. All right, so just to finish this off here, we're going to be doing some deep thinking again. How do you feel that your group or center really drives change on campus? And then can you point to a specific event for us?
We don't drive change. We more avert attention towards the Muslim voice. That's really it. So we're not really changing anything. We're just bringing something to attention. I guess you can argue that is change, but like change is a heavy word. You know, like at least from my perspective, and like the connotations I have behind the word change is a lot different than what I feel the MSA is doing. We are promoting learning, which can allude to change, I guess. So yeah, you know what? Sure, I'll say that. But all right, guys. I guess we change or whatever. No, it's more we're bringing out the Muslim voice in Portland because we are amplifying it. What a beautiful word, especially. I like that word. We're amplifying the Muslim voice in Portland. That is through events like the Quran Night on January 24th, where a lot of people have you listened to the Quran before, Mr. Luft?
I have.
Have you listened to the Quran before?
Yeah.
It's like in person. It's the most beautiful thing ever. And that in itself is definitely going to expose people to Islam. And the thing is, there's so many negative stereotypes on Islam nowadays. Like, you would think things changed since 9/11. Not a lot has changed. There's still implicit biases against Muslims. And there's so many people I've met, and I ask them, do you know about Islam? They're like, oh, you're the guys that worship the black box, right? That go around that black box in the desert. I'm like, yeah, but like, it's not like that. We don't worship it. You know, it's people don't know a lot about it. So not only being able to amplify their voices and being able to connect different Muslims on campus and in broader Portland, it's also about teaching others about Islam that, no, we're cool people.
Just to add on to what you were saying, because I feel like I'm on the same note, I don't think we do anything necessarily through our events. I think with a lot of the things going on, as I like to quote Jaden Smith, in the political and economic state of the world, as a center, we do have restrictions on what we can do. So we understand that at the end of the day, it's about this quote-unquote exposure therapy of just exposing who we are as the Latino community to our campus and how we can do that and amplify ourselves. Like I said, that's the only word I had when you were talking. And at the end of the day, it is just about exposure. All we can do is expose people to our events, which they're going to spread our culture, and expose them to other Latino groups on campus's events by supporting them through being a resource center. And hope that at the end of the day, change comes from that, because we, as sad as it sounds, don't have the biggest impact in the world, but we have an impact in our community. And that's all we can really do. Because with how, and I won't cuss, messed up the world is right now, for our community, especially, no shout out, matter of fact, to the new administration that's in our government, we do feel very hopeless with the political and economic state of the world. And it's hard for people like us. I feel like at times like this, we do just look to lean on each other because that's all we can really relate to. And we hope to bring change through that as well. And by amplifying ourselves out to the community, hope that they bring change for us too, because in hard times like this, we sometimes want to hide instead of helping ourselves. So we hope that people look at us and they see us enough from the exposure that we bring, and they want to empathize and they want to help us too.
Thank you guys so much for coming today. As a reminder, feel free to check us out on Instagram. We are ASPSU PDX. This is PSU_La Casa and PDX MSA.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.